A regular office worker hires a captivating companion for one evening. When the night ends, he doesn't want to part ways. She agrees to stay with him, but her boss insists she return. Now, what will he do to keep her, and how far will she go to leave her past behind? At the beginning of the story, we see a bald man named Francis, who was always troubled in life and had no one in the world to support him. However, one day, his life suddenly changes when he wins a lottery of $4.5 million. Now, he has no shortage of money. Despite his newfound wealth, Francis doesn't know how to use the money. Lost in thought, one day, he visits a club and starts looking at a woman named Daniela. In reality, Francis had always admired her and used to watch her from a distance, but now that he had a lot of money, he gathers the courage to approach Daniela. He asks about her daily earnings and says, "How much do you earn in a day?" After this, Francis offers Daniela a deal not just for one night, but for an entire month and promises to pay her 1 lakh euros in return. Hearing such a huge amount, Daniela is stunned. She immediately believes him and agrees. But before going with him, she sets some conditions. She tells him, "You will not fight or argue with me in any way. Apart from this, I want some money in advance, and you must always respect me." Francis accepts all her conditions and takes her with him in his car. When they reach his apartment and begin climbing the stairs, Francis suddenly falls ill and collapses. In reality, he was a heart patient, and his heartbeat had increased after seeing Daniela. Seeing his condition, Daniela quickly calls a doctor. When the doctor examines Francis, he immediately understands his condition. After checking him for a while, the doctor leaves. Now, Francis and Daniela are all alone in the apartment. Daniela starts looking around Francis's house as if it were her own. Seeing his condition, she realizes that she will have to take good care of him and that their relationship will progress slowly and gradually. From this moment, Daniela tries to impress Francis, and Francis, unable to resist her beauty, also loses control. They spend the night together for the first time. However, when Francis opens his eyes in the morning, Daniela is not in bed with him. In reality, she wanted to impress him, so she had gone to the kitchen to prepare breakfast for him. After this, like a caring partner, she helps him get ready for work. Daniela, now aware that Francis has a lot of money, tries to impress him again and says, "You shouldn't go to the office today." However, Francis refused to take a day off. They argue over this matter, and once again, his health starts deteriorating. This time, he calls his family doctor, André. When Dr. André arrives and sees Daniela for the first time, he is mesmerized by her beauty, and his heartbeat increases as well. He starts wondering how such a beautiful woman ended up with Francis. While checking Francis, Dr. André jokingly says, "To keep your heartbeat under control, you should have some fun with Daniela, otherwise, your seat may get confirmed on NASA's rocket." Dr. André cannot understand how a woman like Daniela ended up with Francis. Curious, he goes to Daniela and asks her the truth. She confesses, "I have a complicated past, but now I want to start a new life with Francis." Before leaving, Dr. André advises Francis, "You shouldn't waste your money on someone like her." However, despite his words, it is evident that ever since Daniela entered Francis's life, he has been much happier, and even his heart condition has improved. The two of them go for walks on the beach and enjoy each other's company. Now, Francis no longer has any doubts about Daniela, and everything seems to be going perfectly. Dr. André also continues visiting to check on Francis. During one of his visits, Dr. André confides in Francis saying, "I love a woman who lives in the neighborhood. She has a serious illness, and I am the one treating her. I spend most of my time with her." He explains that she was once a nurse who had saved the lives of many patients, and now, he wants to do the same for her. Dr. André then warns Francis, "Daniela doesn't truly love you. She is only with you for your money. The moment you let your guard down, she will leave you and disappear." At midnight, Francis calls Dr. André because Daniela's health has suddenly deteriorated, and she is feeling unwell. Upon receiving the call, André prepares to leave for Francis's house. Before leaving, he says goodbye to the nurse, but we soon realize that there was no one there. It was just André's imagination. André arrives at Francis's house and examines Daniela. However, upon seeing her captivating beauty, his heartbeat increases, and he suffers a fatal heart attack, passing away on the spot. Later, at André's funeral, Francis learns from someone that the nurse André had spoken about had passed away 5 years ago. However, André had never been able to forget her and had kept her alive in his mind until his last moment. Francis, too, had fallen in love with Daniela and was incredibly happy with her. Seeing him, it seemed as if he had never been ill. His office colleagues noticed this sudden happiness and couldn't understand what had changed. Seeing their curiosity, Francis decides to tell them the truth. After work, he invites all his colleagues to his home to introduce them to Daniela. However, upon arriving, he discovers that Daniela is nowhere to be found. Not only that, but all his belongings have also disappeared, confirming that Daniela had left him and taken everything with her. When his colleagues realize this, Francis feels deeply embarrassed. That night, he returns to the same club where he had first met Daniela. There, he sees her once again, but this time, she has resumed her old lifestyle and is spending time with another customer. Witnessing this, Francis's heart breaks. He finally understands that Daniela never truly cared for him. She was merely with him under an agreement and would never return to him. Drowning in sorrow, he starts drinking at the bar and begins telling a woman about his lottery winnings. Another woman overhears him and immediately approaches. She rests her head on his shoulder and begins speaking to him in the same affectionate manner Daniela had used when they first met. She tells him, "Something is happening in my heart after seeing you," and even makes plans to go out with him. This woman was younger and more attractive than Daniela. However, Francis does not fall for her sweet words because he still loves Daniela and only wants her. Before leaving with the new woman, he decides to meet Daniela one last time. Francis finds Daniela and confesses his feelings, saying, "I love you very much. I cannot live without you." However, Daniela responds, "I cannot be with you for life because there is someone else in my life." She urges him to go with the younger woman, as she would take better care of him. But Francis refuses to listen and starts arguing with Daniela. Suddenly, his health begins to deteriorate again. Seeing this, Daniela quickly calls a doctor. The doctor examines him, and at this moment, Daniela's husband, who owns the club, appears. He threatens Francis, warning him, "If you bother Daniela again, I'll send you on a one-way trip to space." After this, Daniela accompanies Francis home to ensure his health doesn't worsen on the way. Back at Francis's apartment, the two meet again when a neighbor knocks on the door. The woman angrily confronts Francis, accusing him of bringing different women to his home despite being a heart patient. Daniela, hearing this, gets upset with the neighbor. The woman then tells Francis, "She doesn't truly care for you. She will leave you and disappear." Hearing this, Francis feels tense. When he asks Daniela about it, she remains silent. Later, she finally admits the truth, saying, "Yes, I do not love you." However, despite this, she still cares for him. Francis appreciates this about her, but he wants Daniela to be his forever. Determined, Francis approaches Daniela's husband to make a deal. Daniela's husband already had many other women working for his club, so he could run his business easily. However, he feels uneasy seeing his wife with Francis. In reality, he knew that Francis had won a huge lottery and was extremely wealthy. He suspected that Daniela had told him this, and that the two of them might be working together to take advantage of him. He believed that women like Daniela could never truly love anyone. Francis also realized this and decided to prioritize his financial security over Daniela. Hearing this, Daniela felt unsettled. She had believed that Francis genuinely cared for her. After this, Daniela leaves with her husband, but she no longer feels comfortable with him. It wasn't because she regretted leaving Francis, it was because she had grown used to the kindness and affection Francis had given her, something her husband never did. Due to this, Daniela and her husband start having conflicts, and their relationship begins to fall apart. Frustrated, Daniela's husband finally gives her permission to return to Francis. Daniela arrives at Francis's apartment and knocks on the door. When Francis opens it, his neighbor is there with him. However, this time, Daniela doesn't feel bad seeing this. She tells Francis, "I care for you too, and now I want to stay with you forever." Francis happily agrees. To celebrate, he throws a party at his house, inviting all his friends. As they sing and enjoy themselves, Daniela's husband suddenly arrives. Seeing his wife having fun with a stranger, he becomes furious. Then, suddenly, Daniela disappears. Worried, Francis starts searching for her everywhere. Eventually, he finds her sitting alone, enjoying a conversation with one of his colleagues. At that moment, he finally understands that Daniela will always be the way she is. She can never truly change. He keeps this realization in his mind, but still chooses to continue living happily with her. With this scene, the wonderful movie ends here. Thanks for watching this recap. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to comment below and tell me what movie or series you want me to recap next.